All right, guys, we have one last bit of movie news to cover, and that is this. Gremlins 3 is a thing that may be happening and it may not be happening. I know. Carter, you're back there like, yeah. Gremlins 3. Do people still do this? The whole raise the roof thing? I don't know. So Chris Columbus, director of Home Alone, director of the first Gremlins, the original Gremlins, director of the first two Harry Potter movies. Chris Columbus has had a very, very good career over the years. And like I said, he was the first one to direct the original Gremlins film. Now, Carter, correct me if I'm wrong, but did he write the original Gremlins? I know he directed, but did he write it? I know Joe Dante, who did the second Gremlins film. I know Joe Dante wrote the second one, but did Chris Columbus write the first one? Look that up for me if you would be so kind. But yeah, so in this article from Collider, this particular article comes from Collider, Chris Columbus was being interviewed about one of his new projects coming up, and in the midst of the article, we've known that there's been a third Gremlins script kind of floating around for a while. Chris Columbus was very candid and open in saying that the third script is finalized. It has been finished for a while. The problem with making a third Gremlins film is there are certain rights issues being tied up. We know that HBO Max just set, I think it was an 8-episode straight to series order for an animated television show called Gremlins, Secrets of the Mogwai. So that's coming. But this idea of a third Gremlins film still very much is alive. Chris Columbus wants it to happen. I know a lot of other people want it to happen, myself included. I would love to see another Gremlins film. And as this particular article points out, Chris Columbus was very clear in saying he does not want to use CGI to animate the Mogwai, to animate the Gremlins. He wants to go back to practical effects, like the puppets, like what they used in the first two Gremlins movies. And I think that's brilliant. If they were to do CGI Gremlins, CGI Mogwai, that just would not, it just wouldn't feel right. It's like when J.J. Abrams came back to do the new Star Wars movie, Force Awakens, the new one, when he came back to do Force Awakens, and he used a lot of practical effects. It felt like we were in the Star Wars universe. I mean, granted, like, yes, the cinematography had a lot to do with that. The way that they filmed it had a lot to do with that, but it was also a lot of the practical effects. If you do Star Wars, I want to see practical effects. Like a CGI Jar Jar Binks just doesn't feel Star Wars to me. A lot of other people may feel differently about that, but if you grew up in the 70s, if you grew up in the 80s, if you grew up in the 90s, you were exposed to the original Star Wars trilogy, and that's what you knew. And the same thing with a lot of these other properties that are being that have a far-reaching longevity to them, like the Gremlins. If you change some of these aesthetic designs, it's going to change the whole feel to it. Not that it's not valid, not that you can't do it. It just doesn't feel genuine and harkening back to the original. Carter, I know you're a fan of Gremlins. I'm a fan of Gremlins. First of all, does it matter if the Gremlins are CGI or not? I know, right? Raise the roof. Raise the roof. Does it matter if the Gremlins are CGI or not? And oh shoot, what was the other part of the question? Does it matter if the Gremlins are CGI or not? And do you think that we can expect to see Gremlins 3 come out anytime soon? Like, what are the rights issues here, and like how complicated is stuff like that to work out?
Ooh, you know what? I didn't look up who owns Gremlins,
I
like who
think it's
actually
been
owns
switched to
Gremlins.
Warner
Um,
Media, I believe.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I assume it had to be the studio because even when I did look up when you asked me to, Joe Dante directed both films, and Chris Columbus wrote the first one, and apparently the second one was written by a production
Oh,
company, was led by somebody else, but was apparently based off of pages by Chris Columbus
interesting.
or something
Okay,
like
all
that,
right. Good to
is what
know.
it
Thank
said.
you.
But it did have a head writer of some guy named Charles that I'd
Gotcha.
never seen his name before, so I didn't decide figuring out who he was. But I don't know. I mean, when it comes to CGI and not CGI, I really enjoy puppetry and I just really enjoy practical effects. And look, they've got me buying a ticket because simply based off of practical effects. And I don't know if there are that many people out there that enjoy practical effects enough or are tired of CGI enough to go see a movie based off of nothing except for the fact that they said that they, are using practical effects. But I don't know. I don't think Gremlins 3 is going to come out anytime soon. I don't really know who owns the rights. If
I
it
just
is
looked
the
it up. It's
studio,
Warner
if it is the
Brothers and
studio,
Amblin Entertainment.
so if it's the studio, often the studio's gonna, once hype comes up, the studio's gonna say, "Oh well, what can we do to like take this off the ground with a reasonable budget?" Even Will and Grace came back for that little vote in 2016 thing, and then the studio was like, "Oh, 7 million views on YouTube, pop, 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 new series." Like as soon as something
Right.
gains attention
Traction.
or
Yeah.
gains traction, yeah, as soon as something gains traction, a studio says, "All right, let's do it." Especially when it comes to reboots nowadays, because people don't even care the amount of fan base that an old movie has, but it has a fan base instead of a new movie. So, no matter what, you're starting off better by having a fan base. But I also think Warner Brothers is dealing with some people trying to boycott them right now. So, like, I don't really know. I know people. I just know people that were trying to boycott Animaniacs because of being
Right.
upset with Warner Brothers. Um,
Oh, people.
so I just don't know what Warner Brothers is thinking when it comes to their reputation online right now
It just seems like
versus
because again,
uh,
I don't want to get into the mire of all the stuff, but
yeah,
it seems like Warner Brothers
yeah,
has this attitude of, well, if nobody says anything, maybe we can just sweep it under the rug. It just kind of seemed
yeah. Well, but that's the thing. People are saying stuff, but I guess the whole we're not going to support you or take in your content.
right.
It's an empty threat because none of us are doing it.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I mean, who knows
So
when this thing is going to come out? Who knows if it's going to come out?
yeah. Well, I think the point that I'm making is that I think they are trying to people please as well, so that they can
Right.
sweep things under the rug. So I think it will come
Yeah.
out. I just don't know when.
Who knows? Yeah, but that's the thing. Who knows when this is going to come out? Obviously, I think we all would like to see this sooner rather than later. But realistically, what do you guys think? Like, do you think that Gremlins 3 has a real shot at coming out maybe in the next year or so? Or rather, going into production in the next year or so? Who knows? I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know what those are. All right, guys. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like. And if you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what Weird Al Yankovic would want you to do. Dun, 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 dun.